This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We are at the law firm of Jaray Webster, LLC. For over 30 years, the combined experience of the partners have been vigorously representing the folks of Colorado Springs, as well as the entire El Paso County. I'm here with the managing partner, David. Thank you for joining us here today. Why don't we begin, first of all, you've been really, since 1997, involved in the legal system professionally. What is it that got you interested in this line of work?
Well, it was a combination of things. When I was young, I decided I wanted to be an attorney because I wanted to help people. And then I spent 10 years as a prosecuting attorney. And when I finally decided to leave public service and come out into the private sector, I found that doing personal injury work was pretty much the closest I could come to doing prosecutorial type of work.
Interesting. Let me ask you this. When a person finds themselves needing legal representation of any time, many times fear, confusion sets in, and it can be very overwhelming. Are these basically what you're trying to help a person with, overcome a lot of those concerns?
Absolutely. There's an immense amount of confusion and difficulty going through the legal process. And most of the time when somebody's been injured, they're more concerned about trying to regain their health as opposed to worrying about whether they need to respond to an adjuster and what to say to an adjuster. And oftentimes we get calls asking for information concerning how to deal with insurance companies. So it's a very difficult system to go through.
So not only are we as consumers worried about having protection for ourselves, but quite honestly, we want to make sure that we're successful at the end of the whole process, and that's what you provide.
Absolutely. Sometimes we don't actually represent folks. I can oftentimes give folks some ideas with regard to how they can represent themselves and what they can say to an adjuster to help themselves. And then other times there's too much complexity to the case. And when that occurs, then I recognize and let them know that they probably need legal help.
Obviously, it's important for you to have a good working relationship with your client, but is it also important to work with a law firm that has the experience of having a good working relationship with the entire judiciary system, as well as the opposing side even?
Absolutely, and you know, in some cases, the approach that can be taken by some attorneys may be more adversarial. I don't necessarily work in that fashion. I think that trying to make others understand what the circumstances are with regard to my clients, what their injuries are, oftentimes leads to better results for them.
Let me ask you, how do the clients benefit that work with you because of your experience as a deputy DA and the other partner working within the DA's office? How do they kind of benefit a lot of times because you have a different frame of view? You know what the opposing side many times is dealing with.
Probably the biggest advantage that occurs with me being a former deputy district attorney is that I've got a lot of trial experience. So I understand how to deal with juries. I understand the dynamics of the jury trial system. That's probably the biggest advantage. But in doing a lot of the civil work doesn't necessarily involve a massive amount of trial work. So one of the biggest advantages is just being able to navigate that system on behalf of a client.
What's nice, though, is knowing that you basically have that experience should it be required.
Absolutely. If you're gonna, you better not be bluffing if you say you're gonna go to trial.
Wonderful. One thing here, let's talk on a little bit some of the expertise areas that you work in. Many times we as folks out here, we don't feel we need legal representation unless we broke the law. But quite honestly, every day, law-abiding citizens get in accidents.
Sure. And you know, one of the most interesting aspects of this is oftentimes people will get into accidents and they think, well, I'm dealing with the insurance company. They're going to protect me. And the reality is that insurance adjusters have their marching orders, I guess is the best way to put it. They are required to try and document what the damages or the injuries are to the individual and try and pay as little as possible to make sure that the bottom line for the insurance company is protected.
So in accidents, if we're injured on the job, on the road, or even on another person's property, are all these require different strategies to make sure that you come out successful?
Well, no, in an injury that occurs on the job, that's an entirely different system. It's part of an administrative process. It's called workers' compensation. Okay. An automobile accident requires different areas of expertise because you have to understand the dynamics associated with the forces involved in an accident. And then things that involves other people's property involves another set of statutes that have to be taken into consideration as well. So yeah, it's pretty complex.
So you definitely don't umbrella all those accidents under one idea, not at all. Obviously, one of the most personal forms of representation that might be needed is that of the family unit. Explain what you guys provide as far as family law goes.
We've just recently opened up our family law section, and my partner and my wife, Emma Webster, is handling that. She's been doing it for several years, and the way we look at the family law system is we try to help. It's mostly a situation where people are going through one of the most difficult times in their lives, and it affects the entire family, and involves an awful lot of high emotions. So one of our goals is to try and help people through that highly emotional time period and kind of help them get through it and help the family to kind of heal from the process.
Like you said, this affects them definitely right now, but really these type of decisions that are made go on into the future, be it child custody, child support, even a dissolution of marriage. These are things that affect people way later down the road.
Absolutely. Once these things are set by the court, it's very difficult to change.
Interesting. Let me ask you this. If me as a person, I'm hurt somewhere, maybe at a grocery store or something, I don't think of calling a lawyer. Are these initial consultations free, and why is it important that we do call out as soon as possible?
Absolutely. One of the things that I encourage people is, at a minimum, know what your rights are. So at a minimum, call an attorney. The vast majority of personal injury attorneys will do initial consultations for no charge. We absolutely do initial consultations for no charge. And one of the ways that we look at it is it's kind of a public service. So what we will do is, if we think that it's a case that we can add our expertise to, we'll take that case. But if it's a case that's relatively simple and a person can handle it themselves, then one of the things we do is try and give them some guidance with regard to how they can handle it themselves.
Speaking of guidance, I mean, quite honestly, many times I would think there's simple steps we could have taken, as simple as maybe taking a photograph of where the accident took place, but without that knowledge of the legal system, many of those things are probably overlooked.
No, and most people are not thinking about this kind of stuff when they get into an automobile accident. Oftentimes there's shock involved. Most people are worried about, oh my God, was I at a fault, or was the other person, or they're trying to exchange insurance information. But one of the most basic things that most people can do is take out their cell phone. Just about every cell phone has a camera on it these days, and take some quick photographs. It's one of the most important things you can do to cause the dispute at a later point in time to be much lessened.
Wonderful. Folks, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. On the website, you're going to get a little more in-depth bio of each one of the partners. Quite honestly, a combined years of experience coming to the table for you. And you also can see some of those areas that we touched on a little bit there, as well as many more that possibly you may need their services for. Keep in mind the initial consultation is free. They've also got a resources section right there for a kind of a do-it-yourself resources. You're not sure if this is something you need a legal expert for. Maybe it's something you can do yourself. Are there any other areas of expertise that you would like to touch on or share with our viewers?
No, we don't really handle anything else, but one of the things we also do is if folks call us with regard to other types of law that we don't necessarily practice, we know a lot of attorneys around, so we can make a referral oftentimes.
Interesting. As a Colorado native, also the partners themselves, obviously giving back to the community is something very important for this law firm. Share with us.
Some of the things we do is we're involved. One of our areas of expertise is traumatic brain injury. So I'm involved with the Brain Injury Professionals Network, which is a local group that works to, one of the most recent things we did was produce a directory of local resources for people who have survived traumatic brain injuries. We're also pretty heavily involved, with the Pikes Peak Challenge when it comes around on a yearly basis, and we're heavily involved with the Brain Injury Alliance of Colorado.
Great. Once again, take a look at the bottom of the screen. Their contact information is right there. Remember, that is the law firm of Jaray Webster, LLC, basically providing you the knowledge and experience through the legal system so you can be successful and you can get back to focusing on your family, your health, and your life. This is Jaray Webster with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.